dear guests, dear professors, I would like to present to you our next speaker, Mr. Elias Malandris, Chief Financial Officer of Yalco. Mr. Malandris has a vast working experience at the Deree Athens, Hellenic Shipyards, and handled management consultants. He holds a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and a Master of Science from the London School of Economics. A few words about Yalco. It is a Greek company founded in 1920. It began as a family business and has now developed into one of the leading Greek companies in the commercial sector, employing more than 200 staff members. Yalco is the largest distributor of household goods and hotel equipment in Greece, an exclusive provider of top-name products for European, American, and Asian producers and manufacturers. It is listed at the Athens Stock Exchange, and in 1995 was voted one of the 500 most dynamic enterprises in Europe. Mr. Malandris, it is a pleasure to have you here.
Hello. He has covered part of my presentation, so I know that after lunch speech or presentations are always difficult, so I'll try to make it as interesting as possible to keep you awake. I'm not going to speak a lot about me or the company. He has covered part of the story of Yalco. It's true, we are 94 years old. It's a three-generations company founded by the grandfather in Drama in 1920s. He probably took a train to Thessaloniki in 1933, and eventually the son, Constantinou, moved the headquarters to Athens. We are producing and trading in household and professional equipment in daily wear and kitchenware. We are 185 people, and we are proud to think that every household and every F&B professional uses at least one of our products in Greece. We are listed for the last 18 years. We present some of the major brands of our sector, but we are mostly proud of the two own brands that we have, Ionia Porcelain and Best Anti-Stick Cookware. Ionia Porcelain has a long history of more than 90 years. It has been the fine porcelain of traditional fine porcelain of every family in Greece. And it has a recognizability in the population in Greece of more than 85%. We bought Ionia in 2011 from Constantinou, and since then we have introduced new designs and we have tried to modernize it and bring it closer to youth and people who are just opening new households, but maintaining the high quality that used to have and it's known about. Ionia is one and probably a unique brand in Europe that can provide service of being glazed design, a unique design on its blades. It's practically a lifetime design, it never goes off. And it's a unique characteristic that we provide to clients in Greece and Europe. The other brand we are proud of is Best Anti-Stick Cookware. It's produced for the last 35 years in Greece. We have a factory in Nofta, and that has a capacity of 10,000 pieces per day. 30% of our production is being exported in more than 15 countries. Countries like US, Germany, France, Saudi Arabia, and other countries. We are the market leaders in Greece. We have more than 50% market share. The collection of Best, besides from the anti-stick cookware, it also covers all the small kitchenware needs of the Greek household. However, I'm not here to talk about Yalco or myself. I'm probably one of the last speakers, actually the one before that, if I'm not mistaken, of this year's speaking week. So I presume that previous speakers have covered several issues such as the speed of change in the international business environment, the volume of information and how fast it travels around the world, how short is the time that the competitive advantage that companies gain from innovation. Today, things are being copied at a pace which is often even at a day, if it's a service. Or even, I'm not going to talk about how companies need to act or react in fast changes in the international environment. I was thinking Greek companies face other issues. So I wanted to cover something different. How Greek and international companies face different challenges. Or how Greek and international companies do not share the same priorities when they're preparing their corporate planning. Mainly, I would like to talk about how Greek companies try to survive in the current environment in order to have the chance to have a better future. I don't know a better example of corporate life in fast forward than a small story about the lion and an antelope. An antelope is a quite flexible, fast animal, much like small and middle-sized companies. They are flexible, innovative, they can think out of the box, they can provide tailor-made solutions, but usually they have small market share and limited resources. So, how's the life of an antelope? Well, every morning that an antelope wakes up, he knows that he must outrun the fastest lion, or she will be eaten. Quite a stressful life for an antelope, so I'm sure most of you prefer to be the lion. Where the lion is a fierce and strong animal, much like conglomerates. They have a big market share, probably limited resources, they need a lot of food though, and to support the organization which often are very rigid. So every morning the lion wakes up knowing that it must outrun the slowest antelope or he will starve to death. So whether you're an antelope in this world, in a fast-changing environment, or a lion, the minute the sun comes up, you better start running. Staying still is not an option. Moving slowly is not an option. Both of those options will get you killed. But to bring it to the Greek reality, how fast can someone run when carrying a lot of luggage? And Greek companies carry a lot of luggage. I'll give you some few examples for this. Greek companies try to become extrovert, but at the moment they're still depending on the local market, which in the last 4 to 5 years has shrunk from 20 to 80%. If you take cars or durables, they are 80% smaller market in Greece than it used to be. They try to be extrovert, but at the moment they're facing a mistrust from the international environment because they're coming from Greece. It's not a product of the company itself, but country risk creates let's say, this mistrust in our business partners, whether they're suppliers or customers. You could say that, okay, this mistrust could be covered by trying from the government to facilitate this effort by the private sector to become extrovert. But unfortunately, the government has remained bureaucratical, and in some cases has become even more bureaucratical than it used to be. And it's trying to shift some of the expenses that it's incurring by outsourcing functions to the private sector. At the same time, the Greek companies are trying to go through a restructuring and at the same time create new business development. Both these activities require additional financing, and this financing cannot be found in Greece at the moment because banks at the moment are going through a more difficult restructuring than actually the private companies are going through. So liquidity is scarce. On top of this, Greek companies have to operate within an unstable legal and tax environment. So long-term planning for them has become a nightmare. And finally, we have a judicial system which is practically non-performing. These are all external factors that, given time and resources, maybe private companies could affect them, but they don't have neither time nor resources because during this crisis, they have their own structural problems to face. Problems that are new because of the crisis, or they pre-existed and now due to the crisis they have surfaced. But how big is the problem? Well, we have an unemployment of 27.5% in 2013, and besides from the pure figure of the unemployment, this means that 30% of the consumption-based consumer market is not actually consuming. In 2013 only, we reduced the consumption by 7.9%. In the last 4 years, a quarter of the GDP of the country has been lost. And the government, by trying to outsource its activities or trying to find other ways to control its revenues, is trying to finance this outsourcing to the private sector. One simple example is the tax certificates. We are paying for our own tax audit. And at the same time, in its own operation, there are no serious structural changes in the way the government and the state is operating in relationship with the private sector. The judicial system is not performing. You would say that this is a minor thing, but you won't believe how many commercial cases private companies have to take to court. And if you take a commercial case to court, at the best, you will get a court date 2 to 3 years from today. And to get a final decision, it will probably go more than 10 years. At the same time, we pay more taxes. Maybe we don't pay more income tax, but there are other taxes like assets taxes and other taxes which increase our cost. And we need to operate in a tax framework which is completely unstable. Only in the last 12 months, more than 1,000 new tax documents or explanatory notes have been issued. Of course, in our effort to become extrovert, international insurance companies, because of the country risk, are not actually insuring Greek companies for credit risk, not because of the company, but because of the country. All of these have led to 81,000 companies shutting down in the last couple of years. More than 30% of the actual operating companies owing taxes, due taxes. 40% of the active companies owing insurance and pension insurance contributions. And, according to the latest report by BlackRock, in the next 3 years, we expect that 30% of the loan portfolio of the banks will be lost. So these are additional companies which will go bankrupt. So, how can we survive? Well, we have to create something like a split personality. We have to become both introvert and extrovert. We have to become introvert because we need first to do some housekeeping. We need to survive first and then plan. But can we pause to think for the future? We cannot afford that. But at the same time, we cannot start dealing only with daily issues without designing for the future. Because if we make it through the year, we won't have a future if we don't start preparing for it. It's completely different when you are planning for short-term survival and long-term planning. Your priorities are completely different. In short-term survival, you try to find things which make a difference, which you can implement fast, and which you can control yourself. You don't choose actions which you depend to external factors to complete. Long-term planning is completely different. It requires a lot of analysis, a lot of strategic planning, and you also probably need to completely change your structure so that you can support this new business model that you might introduce. How good housekeeping? Well, for short-term survival, there are mainly 4 pillars that you need to examine. I'm sure a lot of the previous speakers have spoken about this, but you must ensure your liquidity. Most of the companies go bankrupt because they are in cash deficiency, not losses. Accumulated losses might close you down because they lead to cash flow deficiency. But mainly, it's cash flow that will close you down. So you must ensure that you have enough liquidity. You need to renegotiate with your banks. It will not only give you better cash flow today, but it will also improve your profit, get better taxes, reduce your interest rates. Banks are not in a good phase at the moment, so you need to find alternative financing. Try to find other sources of financing. There are other things which are more innovative and that companies can use to find alternative financing. You cannot be fully financed by alternative means, but you will still need the banks, but you will have an alternative. Companies hide a lot of cash treasures. Look inside. Better manage your working capital. Try to generate the same level of sales by reducing your inventory, but with a smaller level of inventory. Collect your receivables. You need your cash. It's not only that you get cash today, the longer a receivable is outstanding, the higher the probability to become a bad debt. So collect them fast, otherwise you might be facing default for some of your receivables. And try to capitalize on long-term relationships with your partners. Suppliers that know you for years might offer you some credit. It is very important how much one single day of extended working capital can help. If you're a, let's say, €100 million company with a 35% gross margin, and you would reduce your inventory by 1 day, you would save €200,000 in cash. If you would collect your money 1 day earlier, you would collect about €400,000 in cash. And if you could get 1 day credit from your suppliers, you could get another 200. So by reducing your working capital cycle with 1 day, you can get €800,000 in cash. Cash is not only the only thing that you need to take care of. You need to know where to spend it. Spend it wisely. You need to control your costs. If do not engage in any loss-making activity. I'm sorry. You need to improve your cost control. By reducing your costs, not only you will reduce your immediate cash flow needs, but you will also improve your competitiveness. And at the end of the day, you will increase your sales. Improve your profitability. When you have limited resources, you need to focus them on the more profitable and the easier the fact that with activities which are the more profitable ones and the ones which have the shortest cash flow cycle. You need to improve your sales, but not by finding new activities and everything. First, focus on the customers that you already have. Try to find ways how you can improve your business with them today. If they do better, you will do better as well. There are also 3 other things that you need to take care of. Exploit your assets better. Try to generate cash from assets that you have which you're not using. Investments. Do not invest in anything that in the short term can have a seriously negative cash flow impact. Personnel. When you create a lean organization, less people have to do more things. So you need to make sure that you have the right people, the most capable people. So you need you need to find the right people and don't be afraid to change. And we survived. We made it through. And now we need to plan for the future. We need to set a vision. Where do we want to be in 3, 5 years? We need to analyze the external environment. And we need to evaluate ourselves. But we need to be honest and blatant with ourselves. It will not work if we do not evaluate honestly ourselves. If we think that we cannot do it, we better outsource it. Let someone else tell us how good or bad we are. Now that we know what's the external environment, where we want to be and how good we are, can we, this organization that we have today, make it? Can we make it happen, the vision that we set? If we don't, we need to rethink our business model. We need to align the organization so that we reach that vision. Set the targets in 3 to 5 years, but because 3 to 5 years is a long time, we need to set intermediate targets. In 3 to 5 years, you can go adrift very easily. Set shorter targets in shorter periods. Relocate all your resources towards the vision that you have and make investments that lead you to that vision. Realigning is a process of change, and it's often difficult. And to implement such change, you need to monitor it closely. There will be times that you will have doubts whether you made the right choices. There will be times that things might get worse before they get better. You will face strong resistance in change, but then it's the time to push harder. Changing in every organization, private, public, companies, universities, your family, is a strongly emotional process. So put strong feelings in it. If you want to change your organization, be committed to it, show it, prove that you are committed to this, and that people have to endure at least inconvenient process of change. You must make them believe in this vision, otherwise they will not follow you. Changing is much harder than doing business as usual. Share your vision with your partners, internal and external, banks, shareholders, suppliers. You will need their support in this process. Live by your vision, manage by example. If you want to do something, show first that you believe in this, and you are the first to change. And to win the bet, at the end, you must make your customers love this change. They must love the new you. If they don't like you, if they don't like the new business model, then everything has gone to waste. So we need to change, progress, but don't forget what brought us here in the first place. We need to create new business models, but there again we need to take care of our cash. Continue to control your capital, your working capital, design, test cheaper financial portfolio, and your cash flow should be on the top of the list of the items when you're considering new investments. Continue to exploit your assets to the maximum. Cost control is very important. Do not stop. The minute you stop, your cost structure will go up. You will become less and less competitive. Your sales will drop. Redesign your processes in a more productive and efficient way. Introduce continuous improvement programs. Listen to the market. It is changing also when you're not looking. Actually, it's changing when you're not looking. Introduce new products that serve better the needs of your customers. Make them feel special. Create tailor-made solutions. Allocate your resources to high profitability products and better cash flow services. Be careful with the pricing. We are now in an era where everything should be cheaper. But be careful, it cannot be cheaper so that you make losses. You can only provide products which make sufficient profit to preserve your business. You need to be competitive, but you also need to be profitable. We changed. We became 99% good. This is quite good. What if I told you that being in the 1% of failure would mean that you would be one of the 5 patients that would get a wrong surgical operation every week? Or it could be in one or two flights that would go short or long in every international airport. Or you could have the unhealthy experience of drinking 15 minutes of polluted water every day under the company of candles because you wouldn't have electricity for 7 hours a month. This is 99% good. Is 99% good enough? It could be better. 1% change is significant. It can make a significant difference. While changing yourself, your environment is changing. Many things in your environment are changing, such as the general economic environment, your competition, the needs of your customers, information technology. New products are being produced. Your best sellers are being copied. Government policies, tax policies, these are only a few of the things that are changing. So, in time, performance, 99%, if you don't do something about it, it will drop. It will go to 95, 90, 80%. So you need to be careful. You need to follow continuously improvement products. It's not a pure chance that some of the biggest companies around the world are meticulously following continuous improvement programs. They're using methodologies tailor-made to its characteristic or well-known methodologies like Six Sigma or Kaizen. But they follow them for years. If they want to stay leaders, they need to make sure that they adjust every day to the changes of the environment. But all these changes, who's going to make them? Could we put all the data in a software and then it will come up with solutions that we could implement in a day? Or could the owner of a business go to a deserted island, stay for a week, think his best solutions, and come back and say, okay, this is what we do. Can we, the upper management of the company, go into a conference room, stay there for as long as it takes, process the data, come up with a solution and say, okay, this is the solution. I don't think that any single one, or any single small team can make the change happen. You need people. We need our people, not just any people, but the organizations. We need to make sure that they follow us. At the end, they will make it happen, or they will not make it happen. We need to make sure that we inspire these people to follow us on this difficult journey, where they will need to work harder, spend some more time at work. But at any given point in time, we must make sure that these people retain a work-life balance, which a proper work-life balance. We need people to take all the days off that they need, all the days off that they're entitled. Maybe some people would think that, okay, if someone stays long in the office, he's more productive, he puts more work in towards the best interest of the business. But this is not the case. At the end of the day, people who are overworking, they get consumed by work. They become part of the problem. They cannot see fresh. They do not put enough energy to change or fresh ideas to make us improve. So, at the end, they will burn, and we will lose a very valuable asset for the business. We as managers, we must do also the same thing. Take all the days of leave that we are entitled, go back, have vacation, and come back with fresh ideas and energy. It is not the chance that every time that we have a good idea, it's probably on a beach or during this vacation. And then we come back and try to see how we implement it. So, no matter how much we love our work, or how much we must work to live, we must always try to work to live and not to live to work. This would be in the best interest of ourselves and of our companies. Thank you.
Question here, presentation. I just wanted to ask, you talked a lot about change. I was wondering what was one of the most difficult but yet more productive changes that you had to make in Yalco?
I joined Yalco 6 years. I joined Yalco 6 years ago, and it was a completely different organization. It was a family business, run in family values, and in a family way. So we needed to change Yalco to still retain its family characteristics in the relationship with the people, but become a corporate structure that will have proper processes that will lead to standards of quality in the way we are operating, become productive, but at the same time, retain the personal relationship that the management and the employees have, and continue to be a family that can endure change. Because if you're not a family, change is very difficult.
Other questions? Do we have anyone from that side? So we balance? No.
I can answer both. First of all, I have many questions, but I think that I've seen your financial statement in your company side. You see that for, I think, for 3 years in a row you have losses. So, I think one part of the, I don't judge that your operation costs have to be decreased, your inventor also have to be decreased, your zero have to be decreased, but I see also that you have very short-term funding, I know what it is, but I think you have to be very positive, like now, to stand here and speak about how to change. Because I say, wow, other persons speak like that here, and his company is, I don't know, because I see the equity is negative also. So, I'll explain. So, I do think that you are going to, all this, I know that if you have, do you think that you are going to survive, let's see? Yes.
Okay, so I'm talking about all this because I've gone through this.
Yes.
So I've negotiated with the banks, I have faced the change reduction in working capital, and imagine that having 30 million of losses in 3 years and 0 cash from the banks, we have survived. So I'm quite positive, knowing things that we don't know at the moment, but they will be announced, so that we will also make it. So, good housekeeping is very important if in difficult times like this, you survive. And a lot of the companies, Greek companies, are facing similar problems. The problem was that companies were built to a certain level of sales, and suddenly they lost more than half of their business. When they were financed for, let's say, 65 million euro company was financed with 40 million, could be acceptable. But then when suddenly you lost half of your sales, then the burden of financing, the burden of the loan became too much. This is why you need to make things happen, change yourself, to convince banks to support you and help you take it to another level. So gradually, we think that within the next few years, I'm going to be back here and explain you exactly the success story of how we survived.
Thank you very much. I would like to kindly ask the students to skip registration and remain at your seats because we're